Hello everyone, we are the Sub-Auteurs, and today we are going to be taking on two of the most explosive films of the year.
Explosive.
Kaboom!
Hi, Barbie!
Hi Ken!
Hi, Barbie!
Why am I Barbie?
That was just fun to watch for a while.
Automatic response.
Should I feel
Why
bad?
am I Ken? Is he Ken?
Should I feel bad that I resigned to the fact that I might be Alan?
On some level, aren't we all Barbie and Ken?
Yes, I do believe so.
But on the real level, we are your hosts. I'm Misha.
I'm Mai.
I'm glad I'm not Alan. Wait. He has great martial arts skills.
He does. I did not see that coming.
Yeah. Scott Pilgrim training.
I see. Okay, in case you guys haven't guessed, today we are talking about the biggest movies of the year. We are, of course, talking about the phenomenon known as Barbenheimer. Which is actually two films in one. This is, of course, Barbie from director Greta Gerwig and Oppenheimer, a thriller / biopic from the man who brought us movies like Dunkirk, The Dark Knight, and Memento.
And Tenet.
So let's get into it.
Did you mention Greta Gerwig already?
Yes, I did.
Lady Bird!
I think you're on the second time.
That was a great callback though.
It kind of was.
Like I was laughing. Okay, we'll get into it. Sorry.
Okay. Roll the music.
Okay, so somebody's clearly happy about The Weeknd.
Okay. As long as it's not the one in The Idol.
No! The one without an
that.
E.
The one without an E.
Weeknd.
Missing an E. Missing an E.
Weeknd.
Okay.
An E. Okay.
So these are two of the biggest movies of the year, and they could not be more dissimilar. But for some reason, social media latched on to the idea of seeing these two movies at the same time. What was your Barbenheimer experience, guys?
Amazeballs!
Amazeballs. I should write that down.
It was quite a bang.
Oh, wow.
It's fantastic.
Yes, it was.
You gotta do the thing.
Wait, you said it's fantastic.
Fine.
I was expecting you to go, come on, Barbie, let's go party.
No, but you'd have so you can dress my hair and then the come on, Barbie, let's go party comes after that.
Yeah.
So I've been seeing cinemas for the past week. They've just been absolutely jam-packed with people in pink outfits going into both movies.
Mm-hmm.
And the reactions have been amazing.
Yes.
What was it like for you? What order did you watch them in, Mai?
I watched them both on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I felt like it was a big reward for me because it came out during my birthday week.
Oh, nice! Happy birthday!
It's not my birthday anymore, but you know,
We take it back!
was out. When it was out, yes, obviously it was around my birthday. So I was so excited for months on end, knowing that it would come out on the same day. Much less like the day before my birthday. So it's like, yes, this is how I'm celebrating. This is the perfect way to celebrate. So I was so excited. And nothing was gonna stop me. Not even my age. But yeah, I had a plan B. Like, okay, if ever I get too tired, since I wanted to start with Oppenheimer, and that's how the internet recommended it.
Right,
Oppenheimer
right.
first in the morning, and then you have a fun brunch to talk about it, and then watch Barbie afterwards.
I like the fun brunch part.
Yes, because you need to decompress after
Absolutely.
Oppenheimer, obviously. But what I felt was after Oppenheimer, I thought I would be too tired because it's 3 hours long. It's Christopher Nolan, obviously going to be like something very heavy, cerebrally. So I thought I'd be like, oh no, I might not be able to watch Barbie afterwards. But right after Oppenheimer, I really had the itch to watch Barbie. Not just because I needed something to wash off the darkness and the heaviness of it all, but it was just like, after Oppenheimer, that was such a good movie. And I want to see if Barbie
lives up to
the hype of
Right.
both of these being such good movies. And it did it really that I was so happy.
I caught Barbie first, so I was so worried about the Oppenheimer screening. So, because everybody's saying like you should watch Oppenheimer first just to wash away
Right.
like,
Yeah,
any
yeah.
of the heaviness. But it wasn't so bad. I had the urge to watch Oppenheimer right after watching it for the first time. Like I need to watch this again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then I didn't have the time to because it's 3 hours long. But it's just that good. Like both
Yeah.
movies were great and they're each in their own way. They're
Mm-hmm.
both vastly different from each other, but still, it's just amazing to have two great movies released at the same time, and it's a reward for anybody who gets to be able to see them on any given day.
Yes.
In my case, I saw Barbie first because they had the advanced screening, and I think you would have enjoyed it because they actually had a drag performance right before
Yes,
they took us into the theater.
Divine Divas.
And it was
I
fun.
fucking love them so much.
And so that was it. There was a performance in the activity center of MOA, and then they took us upstairs to the cinema, where even the entire corridor was all lit pink, leading to
I
the
love
theater,
it.
leading to the cinema.
That's cute.
Yeah.
And we had such a good time, honestly. And the next day, for another event, that's when we saw Oppenheimer.
What activations did they have for the event?
They didn't blow anything up. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay,
No.
Or well, should I be happy that they didn't blow anything up? Yeah. Anyway,
Well, there were a couple of guys in suits. Does that count? I mean, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, but for my money, honestly, I think IMAX is absolutely the way to go
Yes.
for Oppenheimer.
fuck yes.
Yep.
Or heck, even Barbie. The production design is
Well,
crazy.
yes, it was amazing.
I did not see both in IMAX.
There.
More reason for you to watch again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yes, IMAX was.
It's not reason, it's an excuse. And I will abuse that excuse.
Yes,
And
you
I-
have
I
every
was-
right to.
I actually felt bad because see Deng had like a whole blonde wig thing and an outfit ready for Oppenheimer, and
Okay.
yeah, but traffic was just really bad, and Grab wasn't cooperating, so yeah, that sucked really
Oh.
that she didn't make it. But it was just such a powerful experience. Both of these films,
Yes.
honestly, in completely different ways.
Mhm.
Anjo's right. They have nothing to do with each other.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. But they make such good counter programming to each other. It's such a
Yes.
good double build if
I
you put them
know.
together that I kind of want to see them both in the same day.
It was so rewarding. I felt like so fulfilled. Like the part of me that really loves movies just was my soul was full and fulfilled and so happy.
She was so happy she's just mispronouncing words.
I know it's just like it's not connecting in my brain anymore, but it's just my heart felt so full.
It's perfect because it's not overwhelming.
No.
Both experiences were not overwhelming.
Mhm,
Like it's
mhm.
not like some people would be so overwhelmed with Memento.
Yeah. And I think it's the first really big double release ever since the pandemic. That's why people,
Right.
cinema
Yep,
lovers
yep.
everywhere, were just so excited for this because it was just that special.
Yes.
For a lot of
It's
us.
really an event, not just because these are the two biggest movies of the year, but I think a lot of it comes to the fact with neither of them is a sequel,
Nope.
and neither of them is a superhero
Oh,
movie.
thank God.
So, for the first time, people were coming out to see something original after how many years, how many months of just,
Like a decade of like Marvel movies.
Mhm.
Yeah. And Batman and Superman.
Right.
In the
Yeah.
dark.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's the perfect antithesis to, these superhero movies. And it's a good way to wash off that fatigue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also not a remake.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Oppenheimer was based on a very popular biography on J. Robert Oppenheimer. It was called The American Prometheus, and I like the way Christopher Nolan treated it. It's essentially a thriller. You're not watching a biopic, honestly. You're
Yeah.
watching something with the suspense ramped up to 11. You have this insane A-list cast and Josh Peck doing,
Mean!
and they're all acting their asses off.
They are.
Josh Peck. Okay.
Yeah,
It's good
he's there too.
at least you referred to him as Josh Peck. When I saw him, I was like, it's Drake and Josh. I couldn't even say Josh Peck. I just said Drake and Josh.
He has a name.
Even if Drake is absolutely not there.
Exactly. Yeah, he has a name. It's Drake and Josh.
Yes, and if Oppenheimer's suspense, drama, and all of that was ramped up to 11, that's just how fun Barbie was. It was cranked up to 11 too.
Absolutely.
And they also had a great cast.
Yes.
The performances were equally as amazing as it was Oppenheimer.
So just both together, would recommend on the same day over and over and over again.
Yep.
Totally worth it.
They were great movies, but not without imperfections though.
Which we will get into. We'll get into. So let's talk about Oppenheimer first, since that seems to be everybody's preferred order.
Yes.
So what's this movie about?
Bombs. You the bomb. Sorry. Just let me have my time.
No, you're getting a timeout is what you're getting. Sit down.
Well, I would describe it the same way.
It's about the life of Robert J. Oppenheimer. Okay.
J. Robert.
J. Robert. Sorry.
I know it's weird. That's the J comes first. We're not used to it, but that's just how it goes.
So J. Robert Oppenheimer, who is known as the father of the atomic bomb, and how he essentially created the most deadly weapon of that time, and how he became a pariah of the
of the country that asked him to build the thing in the first place.
Exactly.
I'm so proud of you. Misha usually does the synopsis.
Yes, I am also proud of you, because I would have said something stupid like the Scarecrow was helped by, Gilderoy Lockhart to build the atom bomb for Private Ryan. And Iron Man wants to take him down for it afterward. That's how I would have described this movie.
After that whole roundtable discussion he had with Green Goblin, Polka Dot Man, interesting.
And Josh Peck was there.
I feel bad for Josh Peck.
And Josh Hartnett.
Oh my God, Josh Hartnett was in there. That's right.
Okay, now that my screaming about Josh Hartnett, can we can you just get this over with? First portion. Let's go.
Okay,
do it.
Fine, go.
No, actually, it was just a very pleasant surprise because Josh Hart. Before we get to the actual phenomenal cast, let me get to the first portion. Josh Hartnett is known in our time. I know how that sounds, but I'm going with it.
This is a little bit past your time, Misha.
Fuck off.
No, but we know in our generation as millennials. As millennials, we know Josh Hartnett as the rom-com guy, the pretty boy. And we haven't
40 nights.
Exactly.
That's true.
And we haven't seen him for like years on end. And then he pops up here and also holds his own in terms of acting. That made me so happy.
I think this is the most serious movie I've seen him in.
Yes. Wait. I just realized something. He was in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
But
this is revenge! This is Josh Hartnett's
Are you
revenge!
saying that Christopher Nolan made a shared universe movie with Michael Bay?
Maybe.
So now he's making a bomb to take his revenge on Japan.
That's horrible.
Oh my God. This movie has so many layers.
No.
That's an added layer. I never thought about that.
Obviously, that's probably a coincidence. Probably a coincidence, but it's just funny now that I realized it.
I just want to add this, to your thirst portion. I normally don't do this, but seeing Josh Hartnett, he did look good. And I can't believe I'm going to use this term because I've heard it from friends. He's a zaddy. Did I say it right? Is it? Did I use the term? Zaddy, right?
Zaddy.
Can't believe.
I can't believe that word came from Anjo today.
I know.
I really can't believe I used it.
He just pulled that out of his fanny pack.
Hey, that fanny pack saved your lives.
Fine. So basically the movie covers like 20, 30 years of J. comes in front. J. Robert Oppenheimer's
J.
life.
Robert Downey Jr.
from the time that he was a student and from the time he takes up quantum mechanics and decides that he wants to pursue his science no matter what the cost. And I think what really part of the reason the movie is 3 hours long is that it doesn't just stop with the successful detonation of the first bomb. It continues with all the consequences and the toll that building this weapon of death did to the guy's soul. And I think that's what I appreciate about it, that it's not just this USA nonsense. This is really a deep dive, a character study about a guy who essentially, had to live with what he'd built.
Mm-hmm. It's a good question of morality. It's something that this movie was able to pull off better than Mission Impossible.
That's true.
For reference, they can catch the last episode.
Wow.
Oh, segue.
Okay, so what this made me feel during the beginning of the movie is like, I am so stupid. I am such a dummy. No, because these are scientists. These are geniuses, physicists, scientists, and all the ists. And all the smart people because they're, making this scientific marvel. But at the end of the movie, I felt like at least I know I have my heart in the right place for knowing the consequences and all the lives lost. And feeling bad made me at least feel like, I have a moral high ground.
Yes.
At least, di naman moral high ground, but then at least I know that the devastation this brought, and I felt every single core in my core that this was such a dark moment for humanity.
I think that's just a testament to how good a storyteller Christopher Nolan is that even with all these political and scientific jargon, he was able to tell a story very clearly about the consequences and able to question the morality of the characters and the audience members to question the morality of who holds too much power, who should be feeling worse, if it's the creator or if it's the hand that pulls the trigger, right? So it's a really good question to discuss. But I think that if a movie allows a certain dialogue to be discussed afterwards, it makes for a great movie.
And I love the feeling of, yes, you do sympathize with how Oppenheimer was just thrown into the dirt after his achievement, quote unquote, and
Typical
everything.
America.
I know, but they just like kicked him out in the dirt. But at the same time, you don't know if you should feel bad or not because he still created a monster.
That is true, and that is still haunting everybody today.
Exactly.
Because he was hoping, or he was delusional enough to think that his government would use this weapon as an instrument for peace. Instead, he pretty much kicked off the Cold War, where all the world powers were in a race to build bigger and better bombs.
Yeah.
Which they did.
They did, pretty much.
The hydrogen bomb came after, and they have the Tsar bomb.
It's like a domino effect that he never expected, but also at the same time, he should have considered.
Kinda.
Essentially, hate referencing superhero movies now because of the burnout and because Tony Stark is in this movie also.
Right.
Essentially, this is what Iron Man's job is. He's a warmonger. He's a guy who makes money out of weapons, and that's what J. Robert Oppenheimer is. They spent $2 billion on the Manhattan Project.
Yeah, but he wasn't the one making money off it. He was just spending the government's money. He wasn't.
It launched something that nobody wanted.
Well, it was a big part of the military-industrial complex moving forward. But at the end of the day, I think he just wanted to be proven right, that his theories about quantum mechanics, quantum physics had substance, and that he really did like being the smartest guy in the room.
Yes.
Yeah.
From what I saw in the movie. And it's creepy how Cillian Murphy actually looks like Oppenheimer.
It's fucking creepy. I just Googled it earlier and I was like, holy shit!
You know what's creepier? If you've seen the younger photos of Oppenheimer, he actually looks like the actor who plays the brother. When Oppenheimer had more hair. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I went into a deep dive of Oppenheimer after the movie. So I was like, so that's what he looked like, the brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's good casting. Really good.
It's great casting.
It's well, it's an understatement to say it's good because every fucking body in this movie just acted
amazing.
Their asses off.
Absolutely amazing.
Even the small roles.
Yeah,
they all
I
have you forget the names, but they all have their time to shine.
Yeah, like Mr. Robot was in there, and
Mr. Robot.
I didn't even recognize Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman was the
Right?
president. He was President Truman.
Like, holy shit. And he
With
was
this
so
very
amazing.
high voice. It's like,
And that one moment when he just turns to Oppenheimer and says, nobody's going to remember who made the bomb. They're going to remember who dropped it.
I
That's
liked what he
me.
said when Oppenheimer left. Like when he said, "Get that cry. I'm never going to see that crybaby out of yours."
But yeah.
Something to that extent.
Yeah, I was like, fuck.
Like, wow.
Damn, that switch from, being, haha, congratulations.
He's a
You did us
politician.
proud, haha. And then,
I like how he taunted him with that whole like wipe your hands clean off. He took off his handkerchief. He gave him the handkerchief. Wipe your hands clean.
Yeah.
You weren't the one who pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
What are you crying about?
Well, a lot of people say that that's why Oppenheimer wanted to push for regulation of nuclear weapons after the fact. But basically, he was washing himself of the blood on his hands. But I think that even if we don't actually see the devastation that the weapon causes, because we stick with him pretty much throughout the whole movie, I like that we see his internal struggle, which Cillian Murphy is amazing at doing with nothing but his body language, his eyes.
His eyes. He does that every time in Peaky Blinders. It was so refreshing not hearing him in a Cockney accent, with a Cockney accent.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cast around him absolutely is doing their best to play off him and react to him accordingly. Even small parts that could have easily been thankless roles, like Florence Pugh as his mistress, who was a communist and all that. And most of her scenes here, she's in the nude, but you don't doubt the importance that she had in his life from the way that they react to each other. Mm-hmm. In fact, one of the best scenes between the two of them has them just sitting in the nude, like in armchairs facing each other, having an ideological debate.
Yeah.
And that is more powerful than any number of scenes where they're grinding crotches.
Oh, speaking of grinding crotches, remember that one scene where they were actually grinding crotches? It was probably the most awkward theatrical experience I've had, because I watched it in Eastwood, in the Lazy Boy cinema. Mm-hmm. So you get to have your free popcorn and drinks. So
they bring it to you.
So this particular scene where they're grinding crotches happens. That just so happens when my popcorn was served. So they were, like the lady was giving me my popcorn, my drinks, and then she was trying to put my bottle of Pepsi in the cup holder, and she couldn't put it in as the scene was happening. So she just kept attempting.
She kept trying to work that bottle.
Yeah, she kept trying to work that bottle in the cup holder. I was like, Ate, thank you. Okay na, thank you. That was so awkward.
That is so weird.
I'm not kidding, it lasted the whole scene. I was like, okay, I just want my Pepsi. Okay, I'm done.
Yes, I
Speaking
could
of
imagine.
theatrical experiences, we all know it was great, but I had that one awkward moment.
Something I thought was neat about, how Christopher Nolan tries to do everything in camera if he can. He tries to do everything practical, shoot it on location and whatnot.
On film.
Apparently, they designed the schedule of the filming around Cillian Murphy's hair.
What?
So they put all the scenes where his hair was the shortest at the beginning of the schedule, and they kept going. His hair gets longer and longer and longer. And
it makes sense.
That'll help with continuity.
It does make sense. It lessens the load on the hair and makeup people.
But isn't that like mostly backwards? Because he had less hair towards the end.
Well, we know that he likes shooting in non-linear timelines.
Yeah, it was insanely non-linear. But I think it was still more linear than most of this guy's movies at the end of the day.
Yes.
I mean, fuck, after you've seen Memento, you're just gonna be happy that, I understand where this is going.
Well, yeah, this was the most linear I've seen, barring Batman. This was like...
there's a feature on the special edition DVD of Memento.
You can watch it in reverse?
You can watch it... No, you watch it chronologically.
Oh, do you have a copy?
Yeah, somebody stole my copy.
Shoot.
Boo.
But,
Anyway.
yes, okay. So a lot has been made about how a nuclear test blast was recreated, not with the actual nuclear weapons, but it was done in camera. They shot an actual huge explosion in the middle of the desert. What do you guys remember from that part? Did it live up to the hype?
Considering how impossible it is to recreate a nuclear bomb, that shot was amazing. And how he depicted it was just, like, in terms of artistically showing the audience how an atomic nuclear blast would happen. That was pretty good.
Something that I also really appreciated about this film was the sound design. More than the visuals.
Yes.
So even surprisingly, it wasn't Hans Zimmer. But it still lived up to what Nolan's direction is with how he does his sound in his movies. So it's still very, very distinct.
Yes.
His style is very distinct when it comes to audio. And what I loved about this, you are constantly bombarded with so much sound.
Exactly.
It's
Yes.
like, it's
Yes.
so intense. Like, even in the most normal moments where they're just talking, but the sound for some reason, it's just like, it's suffocating you. But when that moment comes, when the bomb finally goes off, complete silence.
I like the fact that you use those words to describe the experience. To me, it just explains how overbearing
Yeah,
it could
it
be.
was
Absolutely.
overwhelming. It's like it's suffocating you, and
Right?
you feel like
Yes.
you're about to explode
Yes.
with how intense the sound design was.
Like in my thoughts about it, like the experience of it, having to manage a project as big as that, it just added to how heavy it was probably for him.
Yeah.
As the project manager of Project Trinity or the Manhattan Project. So that alone, just being able to achieve that feeling for the audience members by just the sound alone is just something you should commend him. It just adds to how good a storyteller, how good a filmmaker Chris Nolan is, because it's so holistic, from the images to the characters to the writing to even the sound. Because some people just take you just take sound design for granted, just take soundtracks for granted because they just easily get the biggest song of that time and just add it into a movie. No, like Nolan would go towards the more original route. He would work with the composer, he would work with the sound engineers on how to design his sound specifically. I remember for some of the Batman movies, he would have some of these musicians create original instruments just to be able to recreate some certain sounds that he wants to hear in the movie.
I agree with you. It is absolutely a
It's
holistic
insane.
experience, because like it's not just the actual explosion itself, which would have been impressive. Like the bigger the screen, the bigger the boom, fine, that's cool. And the soundtrack works by going silent, yes. But I also like the build-up. The tension is ridiculous. The sequences that are leading up to the actual detonation, it's like, you can't even breathe, honestly.
I
Because
know.
there's so much riding on this test. There's so many people. There's so many things that could go wrong that it was just dumb luck that they were able to pull it off when they did.
And $2 billion. would have gone
Timing
down.
wise,
Billions.
weather wise, personnel wise, everything had to be just perfect for things to have happened as they did. So that when it finally happens, you're right. You don't need a soundtrack to tell you how to feel, because you're right there with them.
So
This is
good.
probably one of the most immersive movies I've seen.
So watch it in the IMAX.
Yeah.
Okay.
No complaints there.
No
Okay.
complaints there.
Yeah, sure.
No complaints
Easily.
there.
Okay, so I think it's pretty safe to say that we loved Oppenheimer, but
That cast! Oh my God!
I have a question. For you. Now that you mentioned the cast, who was your favorite character?
Fucking A.
It's a hard question, right? Wow.
Silence, just like the explosions. It's so hard because every single person in that cast really just did so
Yes.
well. Not just Cillian Murphy. Emily Blunt.
I would say
Emily Blunt
was
Emily
my
Blunt
favorite.
was
amazing.
amazing.
She was my favorite.
I don't have a favorite, but Emily Blunt was able to just capture the angst of like this woman who just has to like, okay, ride along with her husband's ambitions and have the fucking baby to herself until the point that she has to like turn to alcoholism. All that, but at the end of the day, still stick by him.
But-
When at the most pivotal moments. It's that complexity.
I love how strong her character was.
Yeah.
Even if she didn't have enough screen time, not enough, even if she didn't have a lot of screen time, she was still able to carry that message.
Man, her dignity was incredible.
Yes.
Like she was
Oh,
like,
yes,
she was-
exactly,
she was so
dignity.
stoic, despite the fact that her husband was being a lying, cheating bastard to her face. But even she cared how they were perceived by the people who were persecuting them. She cared about him fighting back and standing up for their name.
Yeah.
So
And even with that visual of her like trying to being on his side, but still envisioning him with his
Oh, yeah.
mistress.
Oh, that was horrible.
That intense
That
scene
was
with Florence
horrible.
Pugh.
that like she's still haunted by that.
Yes.
Man, that was heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So, I like that one part where she finally gave her testimony. That for me was her one big
Yes.
scene when she was just
She was just like, fuck you.
she was manhandling the lawyer. It was like that was so much fun to watch. Kind of sucks that he still didn't get his clearance back though.
Yeah, well, I really hope that. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised. Like half of this cast is going to get Academy Award nominations
I know.
for sure.
Robert Downey Jr. acting
right?
circles around everybody.
Right
Well,
now-
not really, because they're all running around in circles at
Yeah,
this
but
point.
Robert Downey had more on his shoulders because he had to prove that he could still act after Dr. Dolittle.
And Iron Man, I guess.
Yeah, well, Iron Man, sure, but the problem with Iron Man is he was basically the same character for like a decade and a half.
Yeah.
So he really had a lot to prove, and he's an incredible bad guy in this one.
Oh my God.
He wasn't so bad at first, and then you realize you get into the thick of the movie, and then you see how bad of a character he was. Like,
Again,
you
I
will
mean-
hate him.
Look,
How he's
like-
driven by his ego.
Like Truman, he's a politician. That's what they do.
And I love his interview where he was like, okay, what's your takeaway from this movie? And surprisingly, it was a very feminist day for me because like it was even Oppenheimer being like so many men, like so much testosterone. But Robert Downey Jr. himself in an interview said, oh, I learned that, we should be a matriarchy because men fuck everything up. Something like
No. It was
to that
something. It was
effect.
something like somebody said, "Oh, your movie is just 3 hours of men talking to each other," and he said, "Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. Like maybe if we spent more time listening to each other, we'd get more done." And he's never changed his position that he's always been in support of a matriarchy,
Yeah.
which was like, it's weird hearing these words come out of Tony Stark's mouth,
Billionaire playboy,
philanthropist.
which is
Yeah, but
Oppenheimer's like one of those. He's the playboy.
I don't know. I think Oppenheimer was kind of a,
He's a womanizer.
only one that we were shown. I mean, but based on what we saw, I would say he was weak more than anything else. He was driven by his ego. He's driven by his impulses. I wouldn't say he's a womanizer. I think he's just someone who doesn't, exactly what Emily Blunt says to him. Aren't you going to stand up for yourself? He can't.
No, he can't.
It's
That's
like
why-
when it's right in front of him, he folds.
That is why I loved Emily Blunt.
Because she can
Because
call him
behind-
out on his bullshit.
Yeah, like behind every man, there's a strong woman to back him up.
Well, it's more of also a takeaway from this is just like it's amazing how men's ego can just take us to like catastrophic lengths because especially with Robert Downey Jr.'s character's personal vendetta was always circled around how
His
he wants
humiliation.
to his humiliation and how he wants to get revenge on Oppenheimer when in fact one of the pivotal moments that made him want to do that was not as he understood.
Right.
It wasn't
right.
about him.
That's true.
That's amazing.
That's true. Okay, the movie is 3 hours long, so they cover a lot of ground. But what would you have liked to have seen, or what would you have done differently if you were going to give this thing another crack?
Okay. I loved it, but it's not perfect. I found like it was overwhelming informationally because the editing, especially in the first act, was so fast. And I appreciate that it's fast because you don't feel like it's a 3-hour movie, but it was a little too fast for you to realize who's who. And at the end of the day, realize who's on his side and who's not.
Yep.
Because you
Right.
don't really get to know the other characters as well
well.
because everything just goes on so fucking fast.
I understand that. I
Yeah.
understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, 'cause it's
Act
like-
1 was a bit confusing
Yeah.
to me. Like I couldn't understand the whole Communist Party thing in context to the whole story until like the later part of the second
Yeah.
half.
Right.
I was like, ah.
And there's just so many people involved. Like, who's that again? Who's that again? You just know them by their faces, but like you never really get to understand what their character
You
names
either-
actually are.
You either know them by their faces or their accents. It's Hungarian dude. It's British dude.
It's Bernard from the Santa Claus. It's Casey Affleck for one scene.
Oh, yeah, right. That's Rami Malek.
I know.
So many random people who's like, wow, you are kind of overqualified for this role, but okay, you milked it.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Adjo? Anything you would
I would have the same I would have the same
sentiments?
sentiments as you did. Yeah.
Well, for me personally, this is the first time that I can recall where Christopher Nolan actually took the time to put a sex scene into one of his movies.
Mhm.
And I think it's just unfortunate that it's a sex position scene. It's like in Game of Thrones where people are trading narrative information while inexplicably naked for no reason. And in this case, it felt somewhat exploitative to have these two people going at it and they decide to bust out the quote that Oppenheimer is most associated with about becoming death, the destroyer of worlds, which is taken from Sanskrit scripture. So I understand why the Indian audience was massively offended by this.
I get it.
I get it.
Because that's their scripture.
It absolutely is.
And it's in a scene where people are bumping uglies.
I am sorry. I could not fully absorb what was happening there because, again, Pepsi.
And that woman was working your bottle.
Yes. That was just so awkward. I really couldn't pay attention. So
it's a good thing you stepped in before I made a mess.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I love a good sex scene as much as anybody, but I just thought it was kind of out of place the way they just threw the quote in there as a justification for it.
Yeah.
Because the way they've already established that he's a fan of West Asian literature. And we didn't need him to open the book and to actually read it aloud, while she's straddling him, because he says the whole same damn thing later on when the test goes off anyway.
They could have said it after when they were, done and getting to know each other.
Or, it's just very strange pillow talk.
Yes. That is exactly what it was. Very strange pillow talk.
One more thing. I think this is mainly because of my prior knowledge of Christopher Nolan and my expectations. But we're always gonna attach him to his former projects that were larger than life. We have how they mounted Inception and how much of a visual feast it was, and all his other films that came after.
Right.
But in this one pivotal scene where you find Oppenheimer at his peak of maybe realizing his guilt and what happened,
right?
That scene where it could have been so big. Because this is where he realized he's talking to the crowd of Los Alamos and saying, okay, it was a success. I wish we used it on the Germans, blah, 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 blah. It was his proud moment. This is the culminating celebratory moment for this. But then this is where he feels the guilt. And he has visions of people, exploding or the actual repercussions of people dying. But you only see the crowd suddenly disappearing. You only see one person with their face melting off, and you only see him step on this ashy corpse. And I felt like this was such an important moment, and knowing Nolan, he could have gone so much bigger with this.
I agree. Now that you've pointed it out, I agree. If this guy was able to turn summer Chicago into winter Chicago while the whole Batman police versus Bane's army thing happened,
he was able to Jamiroquai things.
Exactly. Okay, that's nice. That's now a thing. Jamiroquai things. Okay.
You're dating yourself.
Okay. We will use that. We will use Jamiroquai things. So I firmly believe
90s kids, you know the reference.
So I firmly believe that Nolan with Jamiroquai things could have done so much more.
Yeah, but
I agree.
You know how important that moment is. And I was right after, I was I felt the heaviness because of the speech, but that's it.
But it,
it would have been more visually striking, yes, if we saw charred cities and melting bodies and all that stuff.
I don't think Mai was going to refer to charred cities. I think she was going for more of the
execution. It's more of, I don't know.
If he's the more human aspect, just seeing the crowd,
right,
being melted by this device that he created, because that would have weighed more if he saw it in the people he was seeing at that time.
I understand, but I'm also thinking that it's more effective and it's scarier if it is just this overbearing shadow on everything. Even with the explosion, the test blast, they never show the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
They only show it in sections just to get across the idea of how ridiculously huge this thing is. Also because they couldn't do a real mushroom cloud. But but
we should have gotten Super Mario then.
Oh my God. No. I'm just saying that I think it's more effective, just the suggestion of it, rather than going all in nightmare fuel.
Or either go all out nightmare or go dark, like what you mentioned. But this was in between.
Right.
Pseudo happy.
So he should have chosen one.
Yeah, choose one.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
That's my opinion on. Yeah, so you put it in a good way. So it's either you go all out with, we know he can, or he can pull back and
Yes.
would still be effective. But
Right.
Guys, naubos yung budget sa explosives. Alright? Alright.
Okay.
They only had that one extra with the flapping skin.
It was
no.
a big
Yeah.
kaboom.
Yeah.
It was a big
Although,
kaboom.
yeah, I did feel it. I did understand, but just it's maybe my expectation of Nolan mainly.
It also really helped. That scene wouldn't have made an impact if it wasn't for Cillian Murphy's performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole, it was just really a close up of his face. Nothing
But he
more.
was so good.
But then you see the heaviness in
Yeah.
it, which is why for me that was probably the heaviest part in the movie. Like,
I think this is where I kind of burst it. Not kind of like I felt myself explode internally, or like maybe some tears came out, because that's when it dawned on me, like 70,000 to 100,000
Though-
people.
the one scene that made me feel that way was when they announced it on the PA system right before his speech. When you saw all the faces of the people who worked on it, it's just a testament to how great, how much he milked the performances out of these guys. Like you saw,
it was building up to
it was
that,
building up to
right?
that.
Yeah.
But you
Yes.
saw like there was a shot of Jack Quaid, Dennis Quaid's son. Misha.
What?
Okay, never mind.
He's a okay looking guy.
Okay.
Jack Quaid shaking hands with a fellow scientist, but then you look at their facial expressions and you didn't know if they were going to be happy or guilty.
Yeah.
And then it built towards that one speech that
Yeah.
that Cillian Murphy was going to give, and it just shows you how much workshop they put into this. Even those small roles, you couldn't even tell what the characters' names of what Jack Quaid's character name was, but then you felt it
Yeah. And then later on, there's this just guy puking outside.
exactly, and that
It's
they didn't really have to Jamiroquai much of the scene.
Jesus Christ. Yes.
But yeah, that's not much. I guess it's nitpicking. But still overall amazing.
Yeah, it's just finding an excuse to find something wrong with an overall excellent movie.
Well, it's all about. Well, it's not.
It's not without its faults.
Yeah.
But it's just generally an 11 out of 10 for me.
You don't math good.
Yes. alam mo yung pag nag-exams ka tapos yung 10 of 10 tapos may bonus question. That's 11 out of 10.
Well, I thought it was great.
It was great. Just maybe not 11 for me. Because I have these, especially with the editing at the start, like I wish I I wish they could have like taken a little bit more breathing time for you to get to know the people and for it to really affect you more when they finally betray Oppenheimer.
Maybe I was just really in a mood for a talking film that day.
I get
I
it.
came from work.
Either way, I mean, it elicited a lot of emotions and a lot of conversations that are happening now because people are talking about why are we glorifying a war criminal? But I mean, I don't think the film glorifies him. I think it invites conversation on who and what he was, what he did, and the consequences of his and all the other scientists' actions. But if people want to learn more, there's books, there's documentaries for that. And I'm just really happy that the film really holds together as a standalone piece. But if it gets more people talking about it, all the better, because these are things that we really should never stop talking about.
Yeah,
honestly.
it would be scary if there was a part 2.
Let's hope
No,
not.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. I'm done with one.
Okay. So this is the portion where we go to brunch and we decompress. And when we come back, we will be talking about Barbie. That was a good brunch, wasn't it?
Mimosas.
The second movie we're going to be talking about is actually the first half of Barbenheimer, but it'll form the second part of our program because you'll go crazy if you do it the other way around. So we are going to be talking about Barbie.
Barbie!
It's fantastic.
Yes, it was.
It was.
It truly
It was. Spoiler alert. It's really good, guys.
It's so good.
Like, holy hell.
My 7-year-old self is very happy.
I did not expect that movie to be that good. I went in that movie not knowing what it would be about. Like I thought it would be some shallow movie about Barbie and just be about Barbie. When in reality, to me, it was so layered.
Yeah. And
Yeah, for sure.
well, I
So
never
layered.
I never thought it would be shallow because I knew it was Greta Gerwig. And it's not.
That was why I was so surprised because Greta Gerwig and Barbie.
And she took it to such a level that it was another level of fun, bizarre. It was it was a lot more bizarre than I expected it to be.
As bizarre as it was perfectly balanced.
With a lot of heart. Well, some people would disagree. Some people would say it's too feminist. It's too woke.
Okay. I would just like
Fuck you, Ben Shapiro.
I would just like to pose this question though. Why is it that people need to be especially like toxic masculine men would be so insecure about a movie or the brand Barbie itself when it was specifically designed for girls? So why would you be so insecure about?
The
Fragile
whole. No. That's the whole. Isn't that the whole concept of like toxic masculinity, the patriarchy, and all that? You just assume that everything was for you. So if it deviates from that in any way, it's subversive. It's woke. We got to step on that. We got to burn Barbie dolls in a 43-minute video.
I fucking hate how people use woke nowadays. It's in a negative light, or these super right, these alt-right people, how they use it.
I just couldn't really wrap my head around how.
Well, good for you because you're not that way, and I'm so proud of you guys for liking it. I felt like it's a good test. It's like a misogyny meter. I would love to suggest this to girls in general. Bring your dates or your for the straight people out there. Bring your dates to Barbie and see how they would react because I have stories. So
that's for off the podcast.
That actually sounds like a good gauge.
No, really. Because me personally, I watched it with Jason, my boyfriend. And
Jason.
Hi, Jason. I love you.
Hi, Jason.
Hi. They love you too. So we were watching, and at some point, I was considering what is he thinking of this? Because obviously, this is so directed towards women and all our problems. And for some people, it might be too much. But I personally felt that no, it's just right because this really needs to be drilled into people's heads. That's how fucked up the world is now. How unfair it is.
Yep.
So at the end of the movie, I was like, "So what did you think?" It was such a loaded question. Yeah. But then, of course, he started with "Oh, that was fun, blah, blah, blah." And then there was a pregnant pause. Obviously, I was waiting for something else. And then he was like, "But yeah, I understand how this is a very female point of view and I understand your problems." So I was like, "Ka-ching! Green check mark!
Good job,
good
job. No red flags here.
No red flags, at least for that. But you're just happy. And yeah, I'm also happy that, these guys I work with and, also love. I felt that way too. And they understood what it was about.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Greta Gerwig since Lady Bird. So
fair enough.
And back to the dating part. So I'm not going to name this friend, but hello friend, because obviously if you listen to this and I don't know, the person I might, who you considered taking to Barbie I don't know if they even listen, but okay. Because in my friend's experience, she took a guy she was, seeing, they're casually talking. She took them to see Barbie. And afterwards, his reaction was, "Kawawa naman si Ken. Ayoko naman maging parang si Ken."
Wow. I mean, that guy totally missed the point.
It was like it flew over his head. And she was like, "Really?"
I mean,
really?
Ken.
X girl, no.
She missed the point of Ken's character. Ken actually had one of the better storylines there. Actually, no, he had the second best storyline there.
He had a good storyline, and that is exactly how women characters have felt for so many years. So if you don't get that, it's like
again, guys. Barbie started out as a toy, and Ken is a glorified accessory.
He's an accessory, and the creator
gave him depth.
No. I was gonna say the creator of Barbie.
The movie gave him depth.
Yeah. Sorry. Ruth Handler. She said that Ken would never marry Barbie. He was conceived as a boyfriend, and that's what he's been ever since. In fact, he wasn't even there with the first line of Barbies. He came into the line 2 years later after the doll debuted. So, it's not like they're taking something away from Ken with regards to his masculinity or his testosterone or whatever the hell.
His dojo, his mojo dojo
Casa House.
No, but as far as Ken is concerned, being a glorified accessory, it's not like he hasn't already been a punchline for decades. Even in Toy Story, he became what? They made him an ambiguously gay fashion horse. Honestly, an ambiguously gay clothes horse. And you know what? Everybody laughed because everybody was on the same page. Everybody knew the joke that Ken really is just there to support her. But you're right. The movie takes pains to point out even to him that he can be whatever he wants. He doesn't have to be defined by her.
Exactly.
He's Kenneth.
He's enough. Because, this is what I loved about Barbie. Is it because it humanized those brands? Because on some level, I found myself relating to Barbie. On some level, I found myself relating to Ken.
Right.
So it really will take you to the human aspect of the characters, and not because they're made for girls. This guy is supposed to be this Ken is supposed to be a man. It's not because of that. It's because there are certain things that you can relate to down to the human aspect of it.
Absolutely. And I don't think any of it was coming from a place of hate, honestly.
Yeah.
Because this movie takes into account every major point of view or opinion that people have had about this brand for the past 60 years. And it addresses them head on. Yeah. And it takes all those viewpoints is she a bad role model for women? Is she just an aspiration? Is she an aspirational figure? Is she a role model? Or is she just setting feminism back 10 steps? Right? And even to the point of including the Barbie girl song from Aqua. No, really. Mattel sued the record label 25 years ago for making that song because the lyrics are really,
racy.
They're really racy, which one of us?
But I mean, come on, you literally have to undress Barbie to change her clothes.
Fair.
That's the point of it.
Fair.
I mean, you really have to undress in general to change clothes. Anything, anyone.
Yeah, but there's a line where they call her a bimbo, which,
Right.
But the point is, the movie acknowledges all of that.
Yeah.
And it shows that, yes, there are these different points of view, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to own your narrative and do what you want with your story. And that's what I like. They included the Barbie girl song, but they redid the lyrics. So it's empowering. It's not demeaning. They showed Ken as going off the deep end with trying to establish his own life and character. But they made it clear at the end, you can be whatever you want, dude.
Which is why I thought they humanized the characters.
Fantastic.
Because in any relationship to work, you have to find yourself before.
Right.
You're not supposed to lose yourself because of your partner. And that's what I thought about why Ken's story was great. Because he found it in himself to love himself before he would, progress to a relationship. That's what's important, is self-love, which is why I like the message of Ken's story.
And I love that Barbie herself, she starts out as Margot Robbie's Barbie specifically. She starts out as a stereotypical model, but later on she decides that she wants to be more, that she wants to do something with herself to the point of leaving behind the safety and comfort of Barbie land and seeing what the real world is about.
In Birkenstocks.
I want pink Birkenstocks, just saying.
They are more comfortable than heels.
I know. And it's okay if at first her character was so scared of, being imperfect because she is supposed to be the perfect Barbie.
Right.
And then she suddenly has flat feet. And then suddenly she has cellulite. These are things that, generally women can be insecure about. But then later on, she pushes on and realizes, there are more important things than worrying about cellulite and flat feet.
And I think that's the best thing, honestly, about the screenplay by Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, because these are not people who would sign on to something that didn't have something to say, that didn't have substance. Like Gerwig, for example, she has made her name directing films, coming of age films for women, and in this case, it's Barbie who's coming of age.
Yeah, I love it.
But as much as I love Lady Bird and Little Women, Noah Baumbach's resume is more ridiculous.
All right.
Okay? Because this is the man, of course, he wrote, fuck. Shit.
Sayang yung build-up.
Oo nga eh. Teka lang ah.
You better build it up like that again.
Yeah, okay. So this is the man who wrote Marriage Story.
Oh!
What?
What the actual hell, okay?
No way.
He wrote, he directed, he produced Marriage Story.
Shit.
He also wrote and directed The Squid and the Whale. He wrote The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
No.
He did. He absolutely did.
No. What? Okay, what else?
And he wrote Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is also
that's
excellent.
such an underrated movie. I love
Right?
that movie.
He wrote
Underrated.
and directed Margot at the Wedding. And this one, I don't know, maybe he needed the paycheck. He wrote Madagascar 3.
What? Marriage Story.
I
The
don't
Life
know.
Aquatic.
Marriage Story.
Madagascar.
Okay.
Madagascar 3, Europe's
okay.
Most Wanted.
I will now watch Madagascar 3.
And
I will-
look for subtext.
I will.
He likes to move it.
Hey, that was in the first one, right?
Yeah. So now I'm curious what Madagascar 3 is like.
Yeah. To be honest, yes.
Right. So
Like,
I'm gonna watch Madagascar 3.
I know, because like given that resume, there might be something there we can pick up.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
But since we're talking about Gerwig and Baumbach,
Baumbach?
bombastic, Mr. Bombastic.
With all due apologies to Mr. Baumbach, we'll reach out to you to get the proper pronunciation.
So
Not to compare you to Shaggy either.
no.
No.
But what I think that Gerwig and Baumbach did with the script, with the writing of the story,
It's so good.
is that they were able to internalize the original vision of Ruth Handler for the brand. They were able to give, like she designed Barbie specifically for her daughter to play with. Other than, like you mentioned that Barbie is supposed to be an aspirational toy. And they were able to bring that out because, they depicted Barbie with different careers. They were able to tell you right off the bat in the first 5 minutes of the movie, she was there for something for little girls to look forward to. So they could be something other than being a mother.
Right.
Yes.
So that alone was brilliant because they were able to translate it and make a complete story out of it, not only for Barbie, but for Ken.
Yeah. And going back to that, that making little girls happy. The little girl in me was so happy because like the first few minutes of it, everything about it, the production design, how Barbie would wake up each day, greet her friends, give you this entire showcase of Barbie Land in perfect color, exactly how you imagined it as a little girl. That was so priceless to me. It was magical. I was tearing up because it felt so nostalgic, like down to the elements of having her kitchen and all her furniture actually just being painted on the walls actually. And like the design, like, most of the house, it's actually just painted on the wall.
I like the element of play that they had. Like she would be pouring juice.
Yes, and nothing would come out.
Nothing would come out, but then she still knows if it was spoiled or not.
Yes, and showering. Nothing came out of those
But
Barbie
there was
houses.
cold water.
Cold water, exactly. It was amazing. And her going down the slide and not actually getting wet. Oh, the pool. The pool. She just walked over it, and not even having the concept of stairs because that's what you would do as a little girl playing. It captured exactly how it was.
Did you have the Barbie car?
Yeah.
You did. Okay. This movie made me realize that my sister had a lot of the dolls.
She didn't have a car.
No. Yes, she didn't have a car. She only had one playset. She only had the salon. Yeah. So just flashback to our childhood.
I had a car. I had a house. I also had a weird Barbie.
I think everybody had a weird Barbie.
That's what's so great about it. They even acknowledge that, yes, there will be Barbies that you just suddenly want to experiment with. Cut their hair, color their hair with markers,
you should see
draw on their face.
Yeah, you should see my sister who put makeup, quote unquote, on her Barbie. Like and you could see that with Kate McKinnon.
She was phenomenal.
Yeah, she was a great weird Barbie.
She's perfect.
I mean, it could have been reductive, right? Because she's known for these quirky, kooky characters. So you could have said, oh, she's weird, so we have to get Kate McKinnon. But she totally owns it.
Yes, and she actually
The
kind of...
splits were so like she would talk with her legs up on the wall. Be like, oh.
But we would do that with our Barbies. We'd make them fucking split and flip around with their weird, unevenly cut hair when we thought we could be hairdressers, but obviously we couldn't.
I think like the biggest surprise here was what you said earlier, that it's got layers and that it had depth and it humanizes them and all those other things. But a big part of that is that the marketing completely sold a different movie. If you look at the marketing, if you're not paying attention, or even if you are paying attention, it just looks like a pink do-over of the Lego movie. You know, she starts out in her perfect world. Every day is exactly the same. She's
Everything
always
is
happy.
awesome.
Will Ferrell is a corporate bad guy who just wants money. And, you know, at some point she has to contend with the fact that the real world isn't as perfect as it is as in her head. And this movie completely subverts that. It gets you in a false sense of security at the beginning. It gets them to the real world, and then things take an insane left turn. But I was there for every second.
Exactly. Like even every single trip to the real world, like how they had to go there, you know, a spaceship, rollerblades.
They did those practically, apparently. They really had like a
Cute.
scrolling background like in the old silent movie days.
Yeah,
And they had a
liked it.
treadmill.
Yeah.
They had people moving scenery like at different parallax
That's
speeds.
adorable. I freaking love that.
It was great. It was just great. Because you could see how much love and affection that the filmmakers had for this world.
Yeah.
And it's impressive because Barbie as a character isn't really someone who, like, if I asked you, I mean, fine, it's probably pink, what her favorite color is. No, let's go with, what's Barbie's favorite food? Do you know? Or what's her origin story? Like, why does she want to be an astronaut? Why does she want to be president? Why does she want to be a doctor? You know, there's no one thing. And that's the cool thing is that the people playing with the dolls could always imprint themselves on her. And I think they did the right choice. They made the right choice in casting Margot Robbie as stereotypical Barbie. Because let's face it, look at her. And not for anything, but I think it had more weight in casting someone who was stereotypically, conventionally attractive than Amy Schumer, who originally had the role.
I love Amy Schumer, but it wouldn't be in the direction it is now. And I'm very happy with this direction.
Same.
Had it gone, I don't know, it could have still gone good. I don't wanna, I don't wanna say anything about her not being able to live up to the role, but she just wouldn't play it the same and it would be a totally different story.
Yes. I think it would have been probably angstier, more crass than this one.
And if already some people are saying that this is too feminist or this is too man-hating, I feel like with Amy Schumer, it would just take it to another level.
It would be more,
Yeah,
in my
it
opinion.
would be more. But Margot Robbie...
We don't know.
Yeah, but Margot Robbie... Yeah, again, we don't know. But Margot Robbie had this naivete, this earnestness, and this sincerity in her that she would just be in this perfect world and be so perfectly happy. But when it came down to the nuances of her breaking down into an existential crisis, she nails it.
I love that part when she first confronts the kids. And then she just breaks down because everybody loves me.
Yeah. And
So she thinks.
So she thinks. And then just bam, that was one controversy they had in real life for the brand. And then it just hits her. Like, not everybody can love me.
Yeah.
You can't please everybody. And her breakdown was just one of the most real things you could see from a doll.
Yeah.
Quote unquote. Right? Awesome.
And it's so obnoxious too how you see her in this, really pink cowboy outfit and facing these angsty teenage girls who are saying, "You're setting women back." And little tidbit. I'm not sure how credible this source is, but some people are saying that these 4 girls, including America Ferrera's daughter in this movie named Sasha, these 4 girls were actually patterned after the original first releases of Bratz dolls.
No way.
No.
I don't know if people were able to notice it. I'm not sure if that was the intention of the filmmakers, but it's just a funny realization. And it would actually fit because these are Barbie's biggest haters.
I mean, if you were Mattel, you would have hated them too. I mean, they took out 42% of their market share.
I like how you just whipped that out.
No, sorry, because there's this great documentary series on Netflix, and it's called The Toys That Made Us, and they have an episode on Barbie.
Oh, that was
I
fantastic.
suggest you watch it
absolutely.
after, because you will appreciate the movie more.
No, it's true because like I collect toys, right? I mean, also do you, but not necessarily Barbies. But I've been telling everyone since that episode of The Toys That Made Us came out, you have to watch it. Even if you've never touched a Barbie doll in your life, you don't have any interest, you have to watch it just for the sheer the story of the history of this doll is just so incredibly
It's rich.
colorful.
It's really rich.
You have to watch it to believe it, honestly.
Alright.
And I like the fact that they even pointed out in the movie that Ruth Handler wasn't perfect. She had her scandals. which was great. Because, it just made it so meta that Mattel can actually poke fun of their founder.
Yes, actually, this is another thing about a lot of people are finding very brave for Mattel that they are so self-aware with down to how many female CEOs have there been? How ridiculous are they portraying Will Ferrell as the current CEO who is not a woman?
Right.
And, all these things surrounding Mattel, but they're just owning it. They're like, yeah, say that about us. It's fine. We're funding this movie, so it's fine.
Yep. I mean, that was super brave.
Yeah, I
Brave
don't.
of them.
It's just that we don't see a lot of brands be willing to poke fun at their past like that.
With their
Some
history.
some people would just want it buried. Let's not,
like,
open Pandora's box.
Mattel kicked out Ruth Handler for embezzlement, and tax evasion scandals like white collar crime. It's ridiculous, and they even mentioned that. That's their founder.
Yeah, I know. It also goes as meta as Helen Mirren doing the VO during Margot Robbie's breakdown when she's like, "I'm useless. I'm ugly."
And then she says something like casting Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling aren't the right people to say that they're ugly. Something to that extent.
Or just Margot Robbie.
Or
Yeah.
just Margot Robbie. I was just laughing.
Yeah,
my ass
Margot
off.
Robbie isn't really the best casting choice to prove this point.
Yes, I think that was the
But
exact
speaking
same
of
line.
casting choices, I just need your expert opinion. Please tell us about the Kens.
Yeah, we can have a thirst portion.
Yeah, I think we got time.
I can't believe you're actually handing it to me without
She
me
can't
even just
believe.
like.
You can't.
She can't.
She can't.
She cannot.
Did you have Kenuff?
Well, my eyes were very happy. Let's just.
It was eye candy.
Candy.
I mean, come on, Ryan Gosling. Simulio.
Yes.
From the neck down, yeah.
Whoa.
What? He built great.
Okay.
It's my portion, not yours.
I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry.
She's gonna beat you off, man.
Oh my God.
No, actually, I understand, but then I also understand the charm in his face. So, it reached his own, or her own, or their own.
You can't have Kenuff anyway, so.
Yeah, I was just very happy with the choices of Kens. And,
John Cena was there.
yeah, John Cena.
The mermaid Ken.
He was great.
It's just so funny how you see Dua Lipa as a mermaid. Oh, cool, it's Dua
Yeah,
Lipa.
makes sense to me.
Yeah, I like
I buy
putang
that.
ina John Cena.
The
And
merkin.
the fun thing is, like, John Cena apparently wasn't supposed to be in this movie. It's just that Margot Robbie was having dinner in London, and when she went to pay the bill, they told her, "Oh, it's already been paid." Well, who paid for it? And he said, "Oh, Mr. Cena paid for it." She said, "Where? I didn't see him." Don't say it. Do not say it.
Can we not, please? Let's not go there.
So
It's just so funny.
Shut up.
It's just so funny. It was right there.
So she goes up to John Cena in the restaurant in London, and she thanks him, and she's like, "You know what? We're shooting Barbie. Do you want to be a mermaid?" And he's like, "Yes." He didn't even look at the script. He's just like, "You want to be a mermaid?" "Yes." So he did all his parts in one day, and apparently they all had a good time.
I wouldn't expect anything less from John Cena.
This is the guy who's completely fine making fun of himself.
Absolutely.
And I love him for that. And he just owns it. He's like, yes, I'm Mercat.
He's so happy.
Yeah, this really made me happy. But the bizarre thing is when these Kens would have their solo song, "I'm just Ken," and how bizarre that scene was and how bizarre they were just like fighting each other and singing to Matchbox 20.
Oh my God, the 4 hours later.
You know how it starts with just Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie in the beach, and then when the shot pulls out, it's all these Kens singing the same song.
Now, I like the Ken who was playing the drums.
I know.
That doesn't make sense.
It makes absolutely no sense,
How
but
do
it's
you-
fucking hilarious.
How can you play the drums and sing to a person you're courting and there's no rhythm. That's just the beat.
It could be like literally any song.
Yeah, I mean, like you could probably like rap with a beat, but I don't know.
I mean, people can sing on the drums, but then it's just so
Yeah, people can sing on the drums. but
weirdly obnoxious to be singing to Matchbox 20's Push.
I'm just
On the
amazed that
drums.
these bands allowed their music to be used in this way.
In this context, it's hilarious.
I mean, like they used the Spice Girls for a timestamp for Weird Barbie, just to let you know when that was taking place. So like that was your first clue that the kid who screwed up Weird Barbie wasn't necessarily the one that was causing problems in Barbie Land.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us what it was like when America Ferrera hits her big monologue? Because a lot of digital ink has been spilled about this. People have been saying it's too on the nose. Other people are saying it's exactly what we needed to hear. What did you think as a woman?
I'm personally lang to, but I'm not that big of a fan of big monologues like this where they just explain all their, all the characters' feelings and what they're all about just in one outburst. Because, we want show, not tell, right?
Mm.
But then Greta Gerwig has this way of doing it kind of tastefully because I loved the monologue in Little Women. I also just here in this moment with America Ferrera, I burst into tears because she executed it with so much angst and anger, and like it felt like all the years of her life just trying to be a woman, all the twists and turns that have to come with being a woman, all that bending over backwards and being just the right amount of perfect, like not too perfect because you'll be intimidating, but not, you have to be a level of, competent. You always have to be working to get to that perfect mix when you're a human. It's so hard to get to that point. I literally burst into tears because I felt every molecule of her being just relating to that. And I also related to that. And I understand how people may think that it's, whoa, this is too much. This is too on the nose. But I feel like a movie like this that has such a strong message on empowering women, this is what's needed because there are the Ben Shapiros of the world. There are like these people who just don't get equality, period. These are the people who think feminists want to just like take over the world and kill all men. That's not the point. That is not the point. We just want to be able to breathe for a second and just be ourselves without all the pressures of being a woman. Whether that's choosing to be a mother or just choosing to have your own career, choose to be single like Barbie. Like whatever direction we go in life, we don't want to be judged because and we also get paid less. All the things that come over. And this feels like one of those monologue moments, but it's just what the world needs because some people just don't fucking get it.
Yeah, it's like one of those times that can never be said enough at this point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I like that that this message is being conveyed now in a mainstream film, in a family film, and in a film that I think that more people absolutely should see. There was another moment in the film. This one made CC dang tear up. Actually, was when Margot Robbie sits down with this old woman.
Oh yeah, I think that was when my wife cried.
Yeah,
I cried too. I'm sorry.
And she tells the old lady, "But you're beautiful, right?" And Greta Gerwig,
Just remembering it, I'm sorry.
Greta Gerwig admitted that because this happened during the editing process that, we got a 2-hour movie. We could cut this 90-second scene. No one's going to miss it.
It's beautiful.
And Gerwig said, it doesn't contribute anything to the narrative, but it contributes to Barbie's growth. And if we don't have this scene in here talking about different kinds of beauty and acceptance and women supporting women, then I don't know what this movie's about if we cut this scene.
Exactly.
So she left it in, and it was like my favorite moment, honestly.
Same.
And yes, I agree with you on monologues being exposition dumps and narrative hitting over the head, on the nose, whatever. I liked her performance of the monologue, but I still think this quiet scene has more impact.
I like that scene. That scene.
That was just beautiful. That was sublime, honestly.
It wasn't too long, but it just was the right amount of screen time, and it spoke volumes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It addresses the brand's controversies about what the ideal woman should look like. Like if you would look at some of the older toys of Barbie, they would have accessories like books that say how to lose weight, and then at the back it would read "Don't eat." So and then they would put a weighing scale. So
Right.
at that
which goes to the contradictions of the expectations
exactly, which is
that,
why
that society is placed on women.
yeah, which is what this scene to me meant was that beauty is not because of what you look.
Mhm.
Beauty is who you are.
Yeah.
And
That was beautiful. I love
which is
Absolutely.
why
I
that
love
scene
that.
was so great in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that old lady was actually Academy Award winning costume designer Anne Roth.
What?
She won.
No.
She won an Oscar for The English Patient.
Oh my
She's-
god!
she-
English patient?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Where does Gerwig get her?
She also got nominated for The Talented Mr. Ripley, The Hours. So this wasn't just some nobody. Gerwig packed this thing with women who have something to say. Even down to using Danny DeVito's ex-wife Rhea Perlman
She
as
looks younger
Ruth Handler.
here. She looks younger here than she looked at Matilda.
What the hell, man?
I'm sorry, I just had to say that.
But yes, I mean, I think it was a beautiful movie.
Mhm.
But
I'm glad to have both moments because
Mm-mm.
that moment for, I guess, us who can read into the meaning
Right.
and also the monologue for people who just need to fucking get it.
I agree with you. It had to be. I hate that we live in a society where it has to be spelled out
exactly.
in that way.
Exactly.
But the way it was handled was so well.
America Ferrera was
it was so
amazing.
good. It's kind of sad that when it comes to guys or men, in general, they're basically divided now into toxic masculinity or
Mhm.
allies. I'm like, why does it have? Why do we have to have these delineations? Why can't we all just try and be good people and treat people the way you want to be treated? The fact that you have to say ally means that there is still a fight going on.
Well,
And-
it's the reality, and we should just keep pushing until we get to that. And I feel like I also saw this that they're acting out now because they realize that they're being cornered. So I feel like I hope this is just going into that explosion of them finally realizing because we're not backing down anymore. We have these movies to tell you to your face that this is what we're fighting for, and we're not gonna be pushed over like you've done for centuries or for ever since time began.
Since time immemorial.
Yeah.
So safe to say we like this one too.
And I'm so happy you guys did. So I appreciate that.
No, it was, even without the context or the layers of it, this movie was just freaking fun.
Yeah, I love a movie that can entertain you and
It
has
was
something to say and teaches you something at the same
It
time.
was just so fucking bizarre, but then it had so much substance.
So bizarre.
It could have gone so wrong,
That's
You
why.
have Scott Pilgrim fighting, Ryan Gosling and Shang-Chi and Scott Pilgrim. I
So,
already
so,
said that.
so, so Scott Pilgrim can beat Shang-Chi in a fist fight.
In a beach off.
In a beach off, yes.
Oh my God, I just remembered Ryan Gosling trying to surf.
That was so dumb, but
So
it worked.
It was so
Adorably dumb.
good. I think that Gosling and Robbie should get more comedies moving forward.
Yes.
Honestly,
Yes.
their timing is ridiculous in a good way.
The chemistry was great.
Yeah.
The chemistry between those two were great.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I love seeing actors not take themselves too seriously. Like Ryan Gosling, we've seen him in so many movies, serious movies, and we already know how great of an actor he is. So he just has this role, which is just so fucking goofy. That
Too goofy.
too goofy, a little bit cringy, but I think that's the effect that you want to get. So yes, all the way, amazing. And it's that bizarre that it might have its flaws of me thinking there are some holes here, but
It works.
okay, we can get to it. Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what was the point of Will Ferrell and the entire Mattel team going to Barbie Land? It's not. It's like
Okay.
I don't know.
At this point, right? Because Ken is already the villain at
Yeah,
this point.
villain, quote unquote.
quote unquote. But we know the antagonist there.
Yeah.
The antagonist of the movie is Ken and not Will Ferrell.
Yeah, but he just went there and then he noticed the chaos, but it could have happened without him. But then it wouldn't. I don't know.
I just think it was an excuse to exploit Will Ferrell's comedic skills.
I think so too. I mean, we got him, we paid for him. Let's give him something to do.
I loved it, but I didn't see the point. I thought it was fucking hilarious, but
I think part of it was,
or was it an opening for Ruth to come out?
Also possible, but
I mean, again, Mattel.
It wasn't as clear to me, but
It was an opportunity for Mattel to say, we made this movie, we're making fun of our CEO, we can do that.
Okay,
fair enough.
fair enough.
But I think also it was like trying to justify that whole thing where you keep waiting for him to do something totally evil because he's Will Ferrell and he's a bad guy in a toy movie and we saw that already, so we're expecting him. But it just, you're right. By the time that they revealed Ken as the antagonist, he is largely redundant. Which I also have the same feeling about America Ferrera's daughter. Like at some point, she just stops being a factor in this movie.
Yeah.
After the mom's monologue, you don't need the daughter anymore.
Yeah.
No, she's just there.
Actually, when there was the reveal that it was America Ferrera who was playing with the Barbie, I was like, so what's her role going to be like? I was just about done with her.
Being the fourth Bratz doll. I don't know.
I don't know.
Or maybe well, I get it that maybe she's like learning more about her mom, so she doesn't, she's at this age where you probably hate your parents, but she
In this movie,
appreciates.
clearly she was at that age.
Yeah, so this is where you find a newfound appreciation for your mother and
Yeah.
everything she's been through in her childhood. I guess that's it, but then it wasn't. You don't see that turning point.
There's
Suddenly
no
she's just like,
catharsis
there's
at
no
all.
catharsis.
No,
exactly.
with
She
her.
just gets on board when she
Yeah.
sees what the mom and Barbie are doing.
Yeah.
Maybe I guess because what she was fighting for, because she had this little spiel that made Barbie cry. Nobody makes Margot Robbie cry, except her. But anyway, she had this little speech. Maybe at that point in time, maybe she was already in line with her mom. She didn't know that her mom was going through so much or went through so much as an adult. Because
Yeah, but it's like we're reaching. You shouldn't have to make excuses for the screenplay. And at some
That's
point, I
true.
think they just had to admit that the daughter wasn't as interesting as watching the Kens beach off and having America Ferrera make her peace with her past and her present and her possible future and have Barbie have her realizations and have Ken have his realizations. There was nothing left for the daughter to do.
Yeah.
which was, it was just funny because at first, like, she's going to the daughter. Why she have cellulite? The daughter doesn't have. Oh, it's Mama. Mama was the one playing with Barbie. Okay.
But overall, you know what? I really liked it.
Well, again, we're nitpicking, but it's still amazing.
nitpicking, Yeah.
This is what a movie podcast is all about. Just thinking of like the different angles and shit.
Yep.
So all things considered, I think your Barbenheimer experience was a success.
I would do it over and over and over
Because
again.
Anjo and I had the Open Barbie
Open Barbie.
experience.
Open Barbie.
Open Barbie?
No,
Some Barbies are more valuable if they remain in the box, though.
That is true.
Well, as toy dudes, fine. But I'm just so happy this happened. And either way, if you don't have the capacity or time to watch both,
Or the
if you, well, yeah,
the bladder.
yeah, or if you just had to choose one, you wouldn't lose either way.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, I feel like I lost because I didn't see both on IMAX.
Bro.
At least Oppenheimer and IMAX.
Okay.
Watch it again. It's fine.
Yeah, that's a good
I
excuse.
have an excuse to watch Oppenheimer and IMAX because my wife hasn't seen it.
Awesome. Don't spoil it.
I won't spoil it. I mean, like, no, it's history. The atomic bomb has gone off. So many documentaries.
Fair,
Not really
fair.
spoiling.
Okay, so
Amazing. I'm just so happy.
I think we need a second brunch to
Are we
decompress.
Hobbits.
I'll answer that when we get to fourth breakfast.
What about 11 Seas?
Can't forget about 11 seasons.
Right. Okay.
So clearly we had a good time with these two movies. We've gone a little bit longer than we usually do, but we think that the topics were totally worth it.
Yes, we did a double feature today.
Absolutely. And we look forward to hearing from you guys what you think of these two films. Did you guys attempt the Barbenheimer Experience? Did you do them one at a time? Have a little brunch in between? Let us know. We have a Facebook group, Sub-Auteurs We Like Movies. We also have a Facebook page. Sub-Auteurs podcast. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok. And we are always open to hearing what you guys are into, what you guys want to see that is coming up. And also, do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? Do you think this background music is obnoxious? You have to tell us.
It is very obnoxious.
Because until then, we don't know. In the meantime, we are your hosts. I'm Misha.
I'm Maggie.
I'm Angelo.
Thank you.
Not Alan.
Nobody wants to be Alan.
Who is Alan?
Thank you, Christopher Nolan and Greta Gerwig. This was such a rewarding
Michael
experience.
Cera as himself.
Oh my God.